everybody, welcome to School of Scarlett. I'm so happy to have you here today. Today we're going to be talking about the fear of being seen. Many of you have shared this fear with me. Many of you have this fear. The fear of being seen is a fear that we all inhabit and we all have and hold within us. So this is not just something specific to you. We really always feel like this fear of being seen is very specific to us. We feel that everybody else around us is free to be who they are. But what we're not realizing and really seeing is that they're not being themselves either. So the fear of being seen is also a very painful feeling. So we're going to be going into that here today. So the real question I'm going to pose to you throughout this video is, do you have a fear of freedom? Because freedom is right here and now, and we're going to be discussing that throughout this video. And I talk about this in all of my videos. So freedom is here and now. The fear of being seen can be dropped in this instant. So stick with me to the end where we kind of go into that and really expose this fear of being seen for what it truly is and transmute it back into love. So I want you to imagine the term dimming our light. Many times we go into situations or we allow ourselves to release or not go for situations and dreams and visions and things that we have for ourselves because we don't feel that we're worthy, or we feel that maybe other people have better ideas for us, or we don't trust ourselves. There can be many reasons. But basically, a lot of times what ends up happening is we dim our own light. And I want you to imagine that the light is actually equivalent to your authentic self. So when I say you're dimming your light, you're actually dimming the authentic side of yourself. And you're conforming or choosing to go through being kind of that conforming person, the person that is a sheep, just following, going with the trends, going with everybody else and what they are doing. When truly you know that you have a gift or you have something within you that wants to be expressed, whether that's just simply who you are, your personality, or whether that is truly some sort of gift, something that you're going to leave here on this earth. So this is a phenomenon that is happening everywhere, the fear of being seen. So we're going to talk about where this originates and how to transmute it. But before we do, I'd like you to share with me my story. I kind of want to just share with you my experience because I find it very interesting and helpful to share stories amongst each other. And so I want to first start with sharing my story. I had always been a child growing up that was very quiet, very introverted, a lot of times in her own space. While I was at home and comfortable, I was a lot more open. I would love to sing, dance, play, talk, endless amounts of things. So there was a lot going on. But in the context of being around others, I was very closed. I was very shy, as many people would describe it. So I didn't feel safe and secure to be truly who I was, okay? And so basically as a child, that already was manifesting and developing in me, okay? For whatever reason, maybe that was my personality, maybe that was just my experiences, whatever it happens to be. But the thing is that in life really begins to kind of mold you in a way, depending on where you're planted. The family you're in, the schools you go to, the environment or neighborhood you live in, all of these things contribute to your feelings and how you feel about expressing that side of you, that authentic side, that light, okay? If your light is not valued or seen in the environment that you have been planted in, that you so-called are currently just in, then it's not going to be felt very safe to expose it. It's not going to even feel even valuable to expose it. It almost would be shameful in a lot of cases. So examine your situation. A lot of times you'll find that for a lot of people, we feel like the outsiders. We feel like the ugly duckling. We feel like we're not normal. We're not like everybody else. And this is, again, a phenomenon that's happening within everybody because everybody is very unique. Some people are in more pain over this than others, and others are a little bit more relaxed with it and are okay with it because their level of detachment and separation to what is. So this is all happening. So for me as a child, being very young and not really knowing the world, I hadn't created that sense of safety yet to truly be myself outside of my safe zone, which was my home with my parents and things like that. And that never really was developed all of the way for me, because for me, I really was in a way a lot different than some of the children. I wasn't as forward as the children. I wouldn't always as speak up as much. I wouldn't push and shove to get into the front of the line. I wanted to take turns. I wanted to listen. I wanted to be nice. I didn't understand some of the ways of society, of the societal rules. I wasn't socially intelligent yet, okay? So basically, for that reason, I was kind of outcast in a way. People would shove me, push me, or ignore me. And so that became the way that I lived life, the way that I was appearing in all of my situations, okay? And so that begins to kind of make an imprint on a person, okay? And so that's where it began for me. Now, for you, it could be something different, of course. Everybody's different. But for me, that kind of continued on. I was just not seen. I was just always in the background, and I preferred it that way. I actually didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to raise my hand. If it was my birthday, I didn't want people to sing to me. I was quite comfortable being unseen. I really felt that that was the safest spot for me at the time. And I think there was a time that I did speak up about something, and I was shamed for it. I remember this in a classroom. I spoke up about a fact I knew about dolphins, and the teacher said that I was wrong. And, it being like one of the first times I spoke up, it really shut me down, having spoken up and then having been told, no, you're wrong. And so I never really could let that go. Come to find out, I wasn't wrong. But these experiences happen, okay? Because we're trying to experience freedom. We innately want this freedom. But we're attracting these experiences that are very limiting. So we have to break free from them at some point. And this is why in this video, I'm going to go a little bit savage with you. And I want to remind you that we have this savage unconditional course. This is where we're going to use some energy to really go a little bit savage with this. One of the things you can use to harness savage energy when you're attacking things like this, where all of these things are coming at you, showing you where you're so separate from your source. One of the things you can use is harness your anger. One of the things that develops from having anxiety, from feeling left out, from all of these things is anger. And it can be boiling up inside, or it can be expressing towards other people where you're lashing out. And so I had some of this going on. I had this anger. And so when everything switched for me, anger, it became a superpower into the savage energy of really breaking through any untruths that are seen. So you want to really look and see any of those untruths. Okay, this was just a silly little thing in the classroom, right? That a teacher said I was wrong. Okay, but if I go in there and take that and feel that shame and then own it and say, yes, there is a reason to be shameful, then I will be in this victim mentality for who knows how long, if not my whole life. And this kind of did take place. In some sense, I did feel a victim to this. Although I knew I wasn't wrong, I still felt that it was not safe to speak up, because when you did, you were never heard. So this was my experience forever, for most of my childhood, in the world outside of my safe zone, which was my home. And so at some point in my life, I think it was around middle school, I had a crush on a boy. And because I had a crush on the boy, now pay attention here, the crush on the boy develops out of love, out of expansion, out of growth that is emanating from your heart, okay? So I had a crush on this boy, and this boy was very much into theater. Now, that was hard because I wanted to be near him. See, love wants to be near each other, wants to be in union. And so I wanted to be near him, but he wanted to be near theater. He was in the advanced theater classes. He was in the plays. He was in theater. He was he wanted to be an actor. And for a young, shy, very timid girl that couldn't really speak up, didn't ever want to do presentations, didn't want to answer questions, and like when she did, like I said, would get shut down for it. How was she going to go and do theater? I was scared to death to get on a stage, to go in front of people, to talk, to do this, even if I was just doing a monologue or something. It was terrifying me. So what happened? I did it. Why? Because of love. Now, maybe you could say it's for the wrong reasons, but these things unfold this way. It just happens. We do these things for love, and later, okay, we shouldn't have done it for others, but truly it's being done for us. We're kind of unconscious in that state. I was unconscious in that state. So I couldn't have chosen anything for myself. So the universe chose it for me in that crush, in that desire, that strong desire to be near that boy. So then I went into my theater class and I did the things that everybody was doing in that class. The first time I got on stage, I was terrified. Before I got on stage, my heart was beating out of my chest. I didn't know if I was going to be even able to get on stage. I wanted to run to the restroom. I wanted to say I need to go to the nurse. I wanted to get out of there. The fear was extreme. Okay. Some of you might feel this, but rather than coiling and doing the things that I was wanting to do, I got on stage and did this in front of my crush. Do you know, as a middle school girl who's shy and all of these things, how terrifying that was? Okay. Something magical happened in that moment. The sense of who I was, the terrified girl, disappeared. Literally disappeared. And all of a sudden, the character, the actor, whoever it was that I was playing that day, jumped in. And I acted. And when I got off that stage, everybody clapped. They couldn't believe it. They said that literally I had become a different person because they had known me as the quietest person in that whole school. To get up there and do this animated performance, they hadn't seen that from me, okay? But where did that power, where did that energy come from? My heart. From the love of wanting to be near this boy, okay? It blossomed. And in that moment, it led me to a discovery of, at the time, it was basically the magic of acting. I was basically blown away. My mind was blown at the fact that I could be one person here and get on stage and do something totally different. So this is where my name, School of Scarlett, comes from. As a young girl, I absolutely loved Gone with the Wind as a theatrical kind of production, and everything about it, the movie, it was beautiful to me. And so I really connected with Scarlett. And that's who I channeled a lot of the times when I acted and things like that as in middle school. And I was just in that class for 1 year, and they bumped me up to advanced. And I was always very much loving acting, because it was a sense of freedom that I didn't have anywhere else. The stage was freedom for me. So it was something that I had never experienced before. So when I got a taste of that, I didn't want to let it go. And so the struggle then became, how am I going to keep doing this? I was now in high school. I was starting to have to choose my career and what to do. And I really, in my heart, knew that I wanted to go to Hollywood and I wanted to be an actress because it felt so good. I loved it. And I get a little emotional because I'm getting back into that space. These memories, that's quantum when you get back into that memory. And that passion was just very strong. It's something that, you feel a lot more when you're younger. And sometimes you miss that a lot when you get older because you get so-called jaded. So, acting does not lead to very much in terms of financial stability. There's no security there knowing that, okay, you go to Hollywood, you are going to for sure hit it big and you're going to have the money to sustain yourself and you're going to be fine. So because of this reason, I wasn't supported in the decisions or the ideas that I had about going to Hollywood to become an actress. Many people told me all of the reasons why I shouldn't. And they literally did. They told me all of the reasons. They showed me all these different actors and actresses and how they did it and why that was different for me and how that could not be. And so the only thing that I could do as a young person at that time was, even though I was pretty strong-willed, was just stay where I was at. I didn't have enough trust in myself at that time to go there. So some of the things that I had fears about was, what will happen if I go there alone? Can I do this alone? And I didn't feel that I could. So I had already this limitation that I couldn't go there alone. Will I be successful? I had no guarantee of that. I felt that I would, but I didn't know. So I didn't have security. I didn't have that security there of knowing what would turn out. So because of that, I didn't feel secure to move forward. Okay. Truly, there was a bit of a fear of being seen. What would it be like to truly be on camera? To truly have to be a personality or have to be out there for people in that way? What would that be like? And so there was this fear of being seen. So there's just a whole handful of limiting beliefs that were occurring at that time. Now, but it doesn't help when everyone and everything around you is telling you that you can't or you shouldn't. So anyhow, at that time, some interesting things happened. So I want to kind of just point this out to you. Around the time that I was getting close to graduate high school, we were going out to eat at a restaurant. And so I kind of was internally kind of battling different things about what I wanted to truly do after high school. Did I just want to run off and go to Hollywood and just do it by myself and just figure it out? Or did I want to go to college and just figure it out like step by step and maybe just see what would happen? And that day at that restaurant, I was just walking to get, my food. It was a Chinese buffet. And this man turns around and he talks to my mom and myself. And he says, that girl is going to be in Hollywood, or she's going to be a star in Hollywood. And it wasn't that I was performing. It wasn't that I was doing anything. It wasn't that I was even talking. I was literally just walking. And I looked very similar to how I do now. I've always had the same hair and stuff. And so for him to have said that was just very odd. And neither one of us, my mother or I, have ever forgotten that. It was just weird. Okay. But in the end, I decided to go a different path. I ended up meeting what would become my first husband. And in doing so, it was a level of security that seemed a little more real than just my dreams. So I chose getting married to an actual man that I could see there, knowing that that would give me some sort of security. And in the future, if I wanted to become an actress, he could travel with me and I wouldn't have that fear of being alone. So I chose a very limiting belief. So what happens when you choose against your dreams? See, the universe had already set it up for me. The universe had already said, hey, you're going to Hollywood. This is your dream. The reason you experience this non-doership and this feeling of freedom when you act is because that is one of your gifts. And if you continue on that path, you will be able to live out that gift. And so there's these synchronicities that are sprinkled throughout life, like that man at the restaurant. I could have easily just went and done that and tried it, but I didn't. I chose fear. I chose limiting beliefs. Now, some of you may say, oh, well, she chose a better path getting married. We'll never know. Either path is always going to lead you back to you. So you can never go wrong. Some paths are a little slower. Some paths are a little less magical. Some paths go around and curve, and some paths never get there. So what path will you take? What character will you be? In that moment, when I chose to not follow my dream, even though everything had already been shown and the universe was like, hey, go, it's all taken care of. Because I chose something different, I chose a limiting character. This isn't a real thing. I'm just imagining. I'm giving you a metaphor of something. So I'm now a limiting character. Means I'm limited in this game of life. There's going to be ceilings, glass ceilings that are not going to be ever passed. And this is actually happening. I mean, I'm saying it's a metaphor, but if we really look at people's lives, this is actually occurring. That people have literally limited themselves and they're living with a glass ceiling that they're really never going to rise above. Okay, because they don't see it. Anyhow, that's all to say that this fear of being seen, this fear of trusting ourselves, this fear of freedom is a real problem we all have. So how can we break this? How can we go forward, going towards those things that actually invigorate and ignite our soul? How can we be our true selves? How can we stop dimming our light and be our light, be ourselves? So I've written down a few points and things to kind of go over and get us kind of thinking about this topic. Okay, so one of the things I wrote is why are you playing it small? Why is this even occurring? And so in sharing my story and the things that I've just shared, it does give some insight to these things. So come along with me and see if you resonate. The number one thing I wrote was haters. Why do we play it small? Because of haters. Haters are people that are in our environment, that when we share our dreams with them, they crush them. They say, no, you can't do it. They laugh, they shame us, they make fun of it. They don't respect the dream. They, like I say, they'll literally laugh at it. And so they have no respect for a very personal aspect of you. Of course, this is all just happening, but for that character, a lot of the times, it's something that they're really risking themselves sharing that with you. And so when you shame them, or whoever shames whoever, or hates on that, that person goes and coils more and more and develops more of that condition of fear of being seen, to where they're no longer being seen. These are the people that you'll see, after a while, they no longer go out of their house. They no longer go after their dreams. They no longer care, because their experience of life has been so negative with all the haters. And so this is something that we have to break past. Anything outside of ourselves, including those haters, are not real. Think of them as fear, think of them as whatever, an evil force, a negative force, whatever. They are not real. They are there to show you an aspect of yourself that you're not accepting, that you're not loving, or you're judging, or something like that. So it's meant for you to break through it. The only way to get past it is to go through it. And I'm sure many of you have heard that, and you can use that term in many aspects of life. So the only way to get past it is to go through it. So that's what we're going to have to do here with these haters. You're going to have to push them aside. Ignore what they're saying. Within your own mind, refute them in person. Move away from these people. Give yourself space to work on your craft, on your art, on your heart, whatever it is that you're working on. If there are haters in your life, they're a reflection of something that you need to banish, you need to break through. So I was going to make another sort of kind of video about something completely different, but this is popping up now, and sometimes I have these insights. And so this is popping up now, that when these things happen, when these haters come in, or these situations come in that seem so out of whack, that people are so disrespectful, that they are not honoring you as your authentic self, or empowering you to do those beautiful things that God has placed in your heart. Those kind of situations, it's time to get angry. It's time, channel in Jesus, cleansing the temple, turning over the tables. Do you guys remember that story? Not everybody's a Christian, but if you are, or have been, or whatever in the past, Jesus channeled some angry energy in there. And it's time to turn over those tables. Any untruths out there saying that you can't do it, that's false. That's a false God. That's untrue. Do not believe anything outside of yourself. That's believing another God. That's thinking that they have some knowledge or something above you, and they do not. That is a false God, and you don't have to do anything to earn that or do that. So one of the things that Jesus was upset about, a lot of times people think it's because people were selling and, doing business in the temple. Could be. The way that I see it, I see things sometimes I perceive them in different ways and say, is it this way or that way, or how could it be? So some of the things that they were selling in these temples the main things they were selling was animals for sacrifices. And Jesus was already preaching the good news, saying you do not need to sacrifice that animal. You do not need this temple. We can break this now. We're done with this. All you need to do in this moment is atonement. Right now, you forgive. You are forgiven. You are forgiven in this moment. And that is exactly the message I'm sharing with you today. You are forgiven. You are loved. You are everything right here and now. No one should tell you different. And if they do, they are a false God. And I want you to overturn those tables. I want you to get angry, get away from them, tell them they are wrong. And if they don't see the power within themselves, that's their own problem. Share it with them if you want. Tell them that they have the power to do the same you are doing if they are so threatened by it. But don't allow anything or anyone to come against you and somehow be higher on a pedestal or have some sort of authority in your life or hierarchy. There is none. We're breaking all that. There's no hierarchy here, guys. There's none of that. You are it, and you decide in all moments, And that is the good news. So anyhow, that was just a little tangent that comes in. Sometimes I get these insights of things to give a little more clarity for y'all. But now I'm not sure where we left off. We were talking about haters. So we're going to break through anything, whether that's haters, whether that's manipulation, whether that's lies, whether that's injustice. Break through it, move away from it. That doesn't belong in your reality, because you are not that limited character. You just aren't. I promise you, you're not. So anyhow, the next thing would be, let's see. So just playing it small. I didn't really make a very good list here. They're just different points. Playing it small. Sometimes when we play it small in life, that's that fear of being seen. That's how it manifests in playing small. We don't take those risks. Just like I described, I didn't take the risk of going to Hollywood, even though a lot of things were showing me it's okay. You're supported, you're held, you're okay. I didn't go that path. So playing it small is not taking the next step, the next risk, or whatever happens to come up for you in your path. Your path will naturally unfold. You don't have to do a whole lot other than have the love and passion in your heart for whatever it is. If it's nothing, then just have passion for life, and life will bring you those things that are more and best aligned to who you are. So I would recommend to stop playing it small. if you have an idea, no matter how big it is, go for it. Don't think that because it sounds so grand and big that it's not possible. Think about anyone who's ever invented or done anything here on earth. Think about, I just watched Oppenheimer, creating the atomic bomb, or, Einstein or Edison, or, Henry Ford, any of these innovators. And I'm talking about some American inventors here, but y'all know all of these inventors, they had this love and passion in their heart. And at the time, everybody thought they were crazy when they were describing or saying, hey, this is how it's going to be, or this is what I'm imagining to happen, or I'm trying to invent. People thought these guys were crazy, and yet they knew, and they pushed those haters aside. They didn't listen to those haters, and they kept on, and they didn't play small. They went big. If you really listen to these guys' stories, I mean, they put all their money in. They put all their time in. They went all in. So you want to be 100% yes when it comes to your heart. When it comes to your authentic self, you need to be your biggest cheerleader. You need to give it your all. Why? Because that's who you are. That's what's here to be expressed. That's infinity wanting to express this. And if you don't express that, you're denying us of that gift of whatever it is that you're doing. Can you imagine that, whatever, Henry Ford, or, even whoever, the light bulb, electricity, or any of these things. Can you imagine if these people had listened to everybody that said that they were crazy when they were trying to create electricity and, the electric current and all of that stuff? If they had listened to everybody saying, oh, that's not possible, there's no such thing, it's never going to happen, we would not be here today. You wouldn't be able to see this video. There's been so many people that followed their hearts in order to create this video here. And it wasn't just me that created it. To create the internet, the cameras, the sound, everything. The magnitude of this, again, is infinite. This is infinity. We need everybody to be tuned in, activated, awakened with whatever they got to give here. Don't deny us of that. Go ahead and unleash your gift, and don't play small about it. Don't play small about it. The quicker you move, the bigger, bolder moves you make, the more expansion you get, more and more. And it's not all about being big. Not everybody wants to expand into more. It could be, physically into materially more. You could be wanting to expand more within your heart, expand more within your family, within your marriage, within whatever. There's many aspects of this, and it doesn't just have to be, let's say, in a career, an inventor way. Okay, so let's see what else. The other thing that I wrote down is using excuses. So another reason why we play it small, or why this is happening, is because of excuses. And really, the excuses all go along with what I just talked about. The excuses go along with believing the lies of other people and their own limitations. You see, others are projecting just like you are. You're projecting. And so they're projecting their insecurities, their fears. They weren't able to do it. They don't see a way. So really true, they're trying to be helpful. They're trying to tell you, hey, there's not a way here. I've tried. They're not saying it that way. They're saying it in a different way because they're frustrated. Because deep down inside, there is a disconnection with them, because their divine self is still nudging them and telling them, you can do this. There's something, you're not doing it. You're not playing the game right. You're not wanting to play. For whatever reason, you're locked up here. You're locked up in the cycle, and this can happen. We are all having cycles all the time, okay? And some of us can get locked up in a spot and not really get to moving, and that can happen, okay? So if you feel that you're locked up, it's time to examine that. What's locking me up? Is it grief? Is it crippling anxiety? Is it depression? What happened that all of a sudden stopped it? What was the what went in there to stop that? And so that's one of the things that I do in my one-on-one sessions, is really unravel people and find out what is stopping this thing here. What's going on, and we kind of loosen and unravel it so we can get some of that freedom. So the excuses come from believing the lies of others. And so all of a sudden now you're not just playing small, but now you got excuses of why you can't play bigger, or why you're not playing at all. I can't do this because my family won't let me. I can't do this because my society won't let me. I can't do this because I don't have enough money. I can't do this because I'm not rich. All of those are limiting excuses that are totally untrue. None of those things should stop anybody from anything that they want to do. If it's been placed in your heart, if you have that there, that is because it's supposed to be expanded and manifested. There is nothing in this universe that's stopping that other than you, which is the egoic side of yourself that is a self. It has developed itself as a separate self, and it thinks that it knows a better way. Okay, so it's just a phenomena that's happening here. But when you're tuned into this, for example, watching this video, it's time to try it. Try following your heart rather than the brain. The brain's going to give you those excuses. All of those excuses are coming from the brain. The brain is going to basically hear your dream. It's going to be like, oh, the dream, okay? And it's going to go through it and it's going to say, has that person ever done these things? No. Okay, it's not safe. They're not going to be able to do it. So let's all of a sudden say all the reasons why they can't. And so that's the brain giving the excuses. You can't do this because of that. You can't do this because of that. The brain doesn't like the unknown. The heart is the unknown. The heart loves the unknown. The heart loves surprises. Actually, my dad just sent me a video about like some woman that was sharing her childhood videos, and one of them, she was opening up birthday gifts, and there was all these little girls opening up birthday gifts, and it was very similar to a video and my own experience as a child having birthday parties, and the excitement of opening up the gifts and all the friends around, and they're excited too, and they want to play, and when it gets open, can I see it, and all these things. When I was watching that video, it would sound silly to most of you, but it brought me to tears. Why? Because that's God. That's God experiencing excitement, surprise, anticipation. What's in there? What's going to be in that package? I don't know. Pretending he doesn't or she doesn't know. You know, playing this game because it's so fun. And you can see that within children and their excitement. If you could see this video that I watched, you can see the excitement. It's just like the energy is just there. And so that's the energy that we need to channel for this, for our dreams, for our heart, for our passion. We have to tap into that surprising energy of, I love this, I want this, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to follow my heart because it feels good. And let's see, I'm surprised to find out what's there. I can't wait to open that present and see in 10, 20 years from now what this is. So we want to channel that excitement in. And so that's why Jesus always talked about to enter the kingdom, and the kingdom of God is this. It's non-duality, the kingdom of God. To enter the kingdom of God, you have to be like a child, because that's literally what happens. And you have to have that mentality. Otherwise, you're never going to follow your heart. You're never going to feel safe. You're never going to feel secure. You have to have that pure, just excitement and trust that everything's going to be okay, like you did when you were a child. And maybe some of you have never experienced that. And that's where there's, you know, some of that trouble, you know, some of that, more of that exploration, expansion, releasing that needs to happen. So anyhow, that's just another portion of it. So excuses, you want to shy away from excuses. If you have an excuse for something, ask yourself why. Where is this excuse coming from? And then ask yourself the second question, is this really true? And ask yourself again, is this really, really true? Who says? You know, so you want to question and discern these things, inquire with yourself, inquire with your own mind. You have the divine mind right here, and you're with yourself at all times. You can even talk to yourself, get some wisdom from yourself, guys. All of this is here and now. It's here and now within you. Okay. The more you trust yourselves and shy away from excuses, the more you'll discover the power of the unknown, the power of the heart. Okay, so some of the other things that I wrote is how to fix it. So basically, the thing I wrote for how to fix it, how to kind of do this, is to go against it. Okay, it's to go against fear, go against any fear that comes up. Go against it. Like I say, take risks. When you feel fear bubbling up right after something you've actually loved and you felt coming from your heart, banish it, go against it, turn over those tables like we talked about. Channel that Jesus energy when he was angry, or whoever you want to imagine. Can you imagine that? I would have loved to have been there, a fly on the wall, and have seen that. So use that. Use your savage energy. And if you don't have that, if you don't know it, if you don't use it, or you are scared of savage energy, you need to take the unconditional course, or the savage unconditional course, and tap into that, because that is a game changer. That's a game changer for what is going to happen here and what is to come. When you're channeled and into the savage energy, you're working 100%. You got the unconditional course, the unconditional love awakened, and the savage. You cannot go wrong here. So if you're interested in that, I have all of that in the description in the comment section as well. So basically, everything about this is to basically see through the lies. See through the lies. So that's where I'm going to leave it here. You're going to see through the lies. That's how you fix it. You see through them. Is this true or not? Is this absolutely true? You're going to find it's not. And if anyone else outside of yourself has anything to say about your dream, disrespects you, can't show respect, these sorts of things, channel your savage energy. Nothing wrong with that. You know, not wanting to be seen is a real issue that I had. And so one of the things that would happen is a lot of times somebody would put down my dream and I wouldn't say anything about it. Or I might say something, but I didn't go enough. I didn't defend it enough. Now, it doesn't really need to be defended. And the reality of things, it's just us. But the truth of this is, this is all an expression or an appearance appearing outside of yourselves to show you and to kind of reaffirm with you your self-love. Are you truly loving yourself? So yes, you could forgive and just ignore and things like that, and it will just kind of transmute and go away anyhow if you transmute with forgiveness and love. Or you can, if you've never used your savage energy, speak up for yourself, use your voice, speak truth. And in this, it opens up a whole nother realm of being. It's a more assertive energy that you can channel and use at any time. So I would definitely recommend starting to use some of that energy, okay? And so when people are making fun of these things, stand up for yourself. If you have an idea, share it, okay? If you have a celebration, celebrate it. That was one of the main issues I had a lot of times. You know, my husband and I, a lot of times we would go into groups and be around people, and a lot of the people we were around were the kind of people that would brag a lot, and they would, you know, go on and on about this, they have that or that. And, you know, my husband and I were pretty humble people, but we have been very blessed, and we've had very beautiful experiences and lots of things. But for whatever reason, we never felt like we could share that with other people in that kind of way. And a lot of times we were quiet or didn't share about it. And it really kept us separate, because what I see now from it, like, for example, one time there was a guy talking about some farm animals, and, you know, we had some too, but we didn't talk about it because he was bragging so much. We didn't want to take his light. So we didn't say anything. But then we never could connect over the farm animals or get any help about it, or really anything, okay? And there's been many other things like that. And for me, it's always been very difficult being in groups of people and women and things like that, because it does feel in some sort of way that the accomplishments and things that have happened in my life are so far out of this world compared to the ones that are being shared. But the ones that are being shared sometimes in these groups with these women are very beautiful. But if I share this, there's this fear of being seen and rejected for being so different from them, even though I do see how beautiful what they have is. So there is this feeling of always feeling like an outsider as well when you expand to a certain level, because and not that any level is better or worse than any, because I can completely relate to some of the beautiful things they talk about. But some of the things I'd like to celebrate or talk about actually that are very passionate to me, there's no one to share that with. So this journey can also be a very lonely one. And that's where you have to really love yourself and make sure that you have that self-love and that you celebrate yourself. Even when the world isn't celebrating you, even when you can't share your milestones with other people because your fear of being seen or your big heart of not wanting to take someone else's light, you know, you have to celebrate yourself. Make sure that you are seeing yourself. The more you see yourself, the more the world will see you. So don't forget, even if the world isn't seeing you, to see yourself. I love you all. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Please share this video, like this video, comment down below. It helps the algorithm for more people to see it. So please support this channel that way. I love you all. Thank you so much.